Hello, this is Rapid Regeneration. I'm David Escamilla. I'm not a doctor, not a medical professional. I'm not making any claims about diseases or medical claims. This is brought to you by rapidregeneration.com. This is brought to you by my mission to share this information. We're getting now into the higher level, the next level up, with these higher level cleanses and fasts to achieve accelerated results, accelerated healing. There's always a higher level in the natural wellness area in terms of your health, your energy. That's something that I've learned over doing this over 7 years. Got into this in the summer of 2015, at which point I was so sick, I was suffering, I felt horrible. My life was really a shambles at that time. I didn't have a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out of. And when you get sick and your health goes out the window and you don't feel like yourself and you feel horrible, it affects your emotions, it affects your livelihood, it affects your career, it affects your relationships, your spirituality. The whole enchilada kind of goes bad. And that was so painful. And at that time, I basically opened this doorway, like maybe you're opening for yourself right now, or you already have, a while back. Maybe you can remember what that was like. I opened this doorway and I looked through and I thought, wow, I can palpate that that's the truth. And I've found the secrets, and I'm not saying I have all the answers, but basically I have never stopped. I mean, hardcore since then to figure out as much as I could the secrets of the universe. And basically the way that this is being structured, if you've been paying attention and learning from the beginning up until now, you can see where this level fits in, because it's building a foundation. The first level, then the next level, then the next level. Well, this is the next level. And you can go the slow route, but just understand that if you do some of these higher level cleanses or fasts, then it's gonna accelerate. It's gonna compress time, and it's gonna basically allow you to reach your destination that much faster. So there's a phenomenon, real quickly, then I'm going to explain what is the fruit-only cleanse, how does it work. But just to get your mindset right about approaching these higher level cleanses and fasts, just understand what the point of it is. If you're ready to step on the gas, and if you want to compress time and literally compress the space-time continuum to get from where you are now to a different place, in a different time, where you're a different person and you're that much more healthy. I'll use the analogy of a wormhole. Okay, in cosmology. Okay, there's a phenomenon. In other words, the study of the planets and space and galaxies and the universe. There's a phenomenon called a wormhole, where there's this break in the universe, this tear or whatever, this vortex, and basically going through it compresses the space-time continuum, and basically from there you can traverse distance from one point and instantaneously go to another point, zillions of light years away in an instant. And this is a phenomenon. It's maybe not provable, but it's been observed by these cosmologists. And when you ask them to explain it, they basically say, okay, the universe is this piece of paper. It's a flat piece of paper, just as an example. And if you're here on one corner of the paper and the destination is here on the opposite corner, A wormhole is, instead of traveling across the entire plane of the paper folds and the two corners touch and you instantaneously traverse and go to point B. And so that is how a scientist explained, even though it's really not a super scientific explanation, the phenomenon of a cosmological wormhole. But just understand, when you take on these high-level cleanses, it's the same concept. You're accelerating the speed at which your body heals and everything. So we're gonna basically, the first one is the fruit only cleanse. This is the easiest one to do. It's the simplest one to do. How does it work? It's very simple. Basically, you just eat fruit. That's your mission, is to just eat fruit, and you do it as long as possible. You know, whether that's a couple of days, whether you're going to go for 3 or 4 or 5 days, you know, as long as you can go. Now, there's 2 versions of this, which is that one is you can eat any kind of fruit, including kind of your higher fat fruits like your avocado, coconut, and your olives. The higher level version of this is that you eat only fruit, but you cut out the fatty fruits. You eat just regular carb fruits. Okay, in either case, you should always eat your fruits raw. Okay, try to avoid the salt, adding salt, because it can mess with the potassium sodium ratio in the body. There's some exceptions, you know, but without getting too deep down a rabbit hole, just keep it simple and just avoid, you know, pouring on extra salt. And then you want to avoid vegetables because they have a lower electrical frequency. They take more work from a digestive point of view with all the cellulose, and also they're less cleansing, less alkalizing when you compared with like some of these fruits that are very astringent. So that's it. Those are the rules. Now just a couple more insights, because look, anyone can eat fruit. Anyone can basically do this. The question is, how long can you do it? Because I know you've eaten nothing but fruit for a snack. How about a meal, a full meal? How about 2 meals in a row with only fruit? Okay, now how about 1 day on this planet eating nothing but fruit? It's very difficult. I mean, maybe it is, maybe it's not. Depends on you, but basically it sounds easy, but it's not as easy as it sounds. When I was first getting into fruits and really discovering the power of fruit and started eating more fruit, I was really benefiting from this. It was really helping me, but at the same time, I was very hooked on like cooked foods, like starches, a lot of fats and cooked oils, salt, vinegars, fermented foods, and crunchy things. And it took me a long time, about 3 years, to really transition off of these more unhealthy cooked foods I was eating. And specifically the corn chips. I just couldn't stop eating corn chips for some reason. It was an addiction. But basically, the way that it started was I was eating fruit I would do it for 1 meal a day and maybe a snack. Then, when things got more serious, you know, I would try to bump it up, and I would try to do 2 raw meals a day. I don't think I ever ate just fruit for a whole day for probably 2 years. And so this can just show you how much of a challenge it is. You know, your body is also accustomed to eating a lot of junk foods or these different cooked foods that maybe you have a dependency on, and it's also used to eating high fat and protein. And so, which, by the way, is why it can help to do the lower version of this challenge and incorporate avocado and coconut and olives and stuff like that. So, it can be overwhelming. You can go into kind of a weird state mentally. And that just goes to show that, this is 90% a mental challenge and 10% a physical one. Your body actually wants you to do this. It's going to experience relief. It's going to be so hydrated, overloaded with electrolytes, supercharged with electrical energy. It'll be cleansed from the astringent cleansing nature of these fruits. It'll be nourished from the amazing nutrition. It's going to be assisted by the probiotics that are in these fruits, the phytonutrients. And it's going to thank you for not putting acidic foods into your body. So it's going to be super alkalized. So I almost forgot to mention why you're even doing this. Those are all the benefits. I mean, these are huge benefits that can just launch your body into like, oh my God, thank you so much. And it just goes into accelerated healing. So your body is gonna actually be grateful for this. Your mind, on the other hand, is gonna mess this whole thing up because your mind is gonna be telling you, hey, just throw in the towel, just give up. And there's many studies that have been done to basically document the pleasure centers of the brain, which are located near the frontal lobes. And these things just stimulate and they light up when you eat your favorite foods. The exact same way that they light up when a drug addict is getting ready to take his next dose. So when you abstain basically from something you've been doing over and over again for years, these well-grooved neural pathways, they get neglected. And your mind, your brain, will urge you to do what pleases it. And so you're going to have to overcome this. That's the big challenge of this, is the mental. So, don't feel bad if you can't swing it. Just give it a try. I mean, try to go one meal and then try to go 2 meals in a row. And then if you can pull off a full day, you're going to be way ahead of the curve. So the other thing you can do is use your fatty fruits as a buffer. I mean, the main ones are avocado, coconut, and olives. I know there's a few other ones. You could eat like nuts and seeds or nut butters, but this would be really breaking the rules. This wouldn't really be a fruit-only cleanse if you did that, because these are not really a cleansing, hydrating food, even though they are powerful raw superfoods, and they're also a little more acid-forming than fruits. So you want to stick with just the fruits. So yes, if you try to do it without the fatty fruits, that's even tougher. That is even tougher. Now, when I did this fruit-only cleanse, I mean, I was sort of doing it already. I finally decided, all right, I'm going to go on all fruit. I'm going to see how I can do it. Now, what I found was this was like a few years after I started getting into all this, probably, I started getting into all this natural health and detox in mid 2015, and I think I started doing this in early 2018. So that is 2.5 years, yeah. And basically, what I found was, all right, I'm gonna see how I feel eating all fruit, and I found that I could do it if I was still eating like avocado and coconut. And it was so exciting. I made this jump and I was on all fruit. I felt incredible, and I was really healing up. At that point, I was almost completely healed and recovered, and I was like getting so close, and I was just making super progress, and I was feeling such energy, focus, performance, and yes, it was very exciting. And I found I was able to even go a week, 2 weeks, or even 3 and 4 weeks, I think was the longest I went. I mean, this was crazy. I was shocking myself that I was even able to do this. But I was very reliant on fats, And I would definitely go through kind of like a withdrawal if I ever stopped eating the fats. And so I decided during this time I was going to do a 5-day cleanse of eating just fruits, of just the high carb fruits, no fatty fruits. And I kind of had this intuition that if I could do it, that I was going to feel really, really good. And basically I did do it. I had this kind of a top of the mountain experience. Actually, you know what? Before I did this fruit only cleanse, I had already done a grape fast and a water fast. So I had already had these amazing experiences doing those, and I'll cover those separately and explain the experience of that and the differences of doing that. But not long after that, I did this fruit only cleanse because I was still hooked on these fats. And basically, yes, very top of the mountain experience. I felt my body just going into overdrive, mocking itself back up. You know, I could literally feel the energy just flowing through the body, cleansing energy. And, you know, it was also a profound experience from just a spiritual experience, a mental experience, emotional, you could say. And I really grew from it, and my self-confidence, my inner power was really strengthened. So that's it. I mean, it took me a long time to do either fruit only with fats, and even longer to ever try fruit only with no fatty fruits, which is just more cleansing because, you know, in later segments we're gonna basically clarify why the difference between your body digesting carbs versus fat versus protein, but just understand that it's a more intensive process for your body to digest fat. It's just a lot more work digestively. There's more metabolic acids that get created, and so, you know, it's less cleansing, it's less detoxifying. So, but don't worry about that too much for now. Like I said, use the fats as a way to get you there, and use whatever works. So this is the final message to wrap up is, oh gosh, I mean, use whatever path gets you to the top of the mountain. The top of the mountain is where you're going to feel amazing, no more health problems. You feel like your true self, energetic. And basically you want to use whatever path gets you there, whether it's a muddy path, whether it's a straight path, a rocky path, one that's full of brush, or a jagged ravine. You know, some people can just shimmy up a mountain, you know, just super quick, just in a straight line. But not everyone can do that. And so use whatever path gets you there. If you need to transition and take a long time, do that. If you can go super quick, do that. If you need to use the high fat fruits, use them. You know, so, but it's powerful. It is powerful, and even using the high fat fruits is super powerful. If you can just do nothing but fruit, and if you can do a couple days like that, trust me, you'll experience it for yourself. And just removing the fats is even the next level. It's just a bit tougher. It's harder to focus for me, and, you know, hold down a job or stuff like that when you take out the fat. So that's kind of just the next level. But try it for yourself. Let me know how it makes you feel. And this is the easiest higher level cleanse that you can do in terms of food. And so everyone should try this. So yes, it's also great from a budget standpoint. It really shouldn't cost you anything compared with your normal cost of food. So whenever you're ready, if you're ready for this, now you know, and go ahead and go for it. All right, the website is rapidregeneration.com. Stay tuned. These next cleanses are even more powerful, and keep paying attention to this game-changing information. Bye for now.
For more information, please follow at Rapid Regeneration or visit rapidregeneration.com.